Alright, hello. So, this is a new private server called Judgment of the Lion. Its abbreviation is JOTL. Just appeared very, very recently. As of me recording this, it went live 9 hours ago. So, it's a very different thing than normal Realm of the Mad God. For starters, there's only 3 classes. Wizard I am best with here. So, the way it starts out is you'll instantly notice there are some things differently here. The T0 staff fires a single shot. And there's a lot of stuff different here. So, the staff it gives you extra mana when you land a hit on something. The spell is a normal spell, but it's got built-in protection against perfect spell bombs. As you can see, shot effect spell resistant for 0.5 seconds. So you can't repeatedly spell bomb the same area, or else the enemy gets harder to kill. And if I look at the stats, it's not the same normal stat layout. We've got attack damage percent, attack speed, which is your dex, attack damage is your attack, magic damage, which is sort of a whiz mod-esque thing. It's how much your effect is of your whatever your ability is. Movement speed is speed, defense is defense, fit, whiz, all the same. So, something very interesting if you look. Everyone has T1, and some people have Tier 2 stuff. As far as I'm aware, the current cap right now is Tier 3 items. Now, before that, if it doesn't dissuade you, it is pretty grindy to get even just Tier 1 stuff. Well, let's hop in here. So, in order to get started, you have to buy this Evershade memory, and you activate it, and you get sent into the actual realm. So the way this works is you just kill stuff. Now, stuff hits very hard, and you do not gain stats normally. There are a couple of things to look out for. The rabbits that you'll see do not enrage like normal enemies. And most of these enemies have new shot patterns. The rabbits do not enrage instantly. Instead, they die very easily, with a very small chance that they enrage and become a boss. We'll worry about that later. You basically, the whole layout is you just kill stuff. You get very little HP for leveling up, but it basically will earn you a stat point that you can apply. As you can see here, you have 1 unspent constellation point. You may as well just read that as +1 skill point. And early on, when you're just trying to learn the game, it's all about just increasing your level to get stat points, or skill points. So there's a potion. Not anything super major, it's still the normal increased HP, or increased MP, depending on which one you get. But getting better items does not come very often. And even when you do get them, very few items are ever the same as normal. So, every item comes with modifiers that directly or indirectly boost your character. It may come through the form of on a weapon providing extra damage, or might give defensive stats or utility stats. The tiered weapons do slightly increase their power, but not by very much. And eventually, hopefully I'll get a drop to show you what that actually entails. The skill tree, and yeah, there's actually a tree, is very similar to Path of Exile tree, if you've seen or heard of Path of Exile. So this enemy is very rough, because its shots will go through all walls. Its obstacles do not stop it from shooting through them. It's kind of a rough enemy to learn about early on. And note, the basilisks will only be able to shoot through the wall if the large one is still active. The second the large one dies, they can no longer shoot through the wall. Or through anything. So, this game is very rough for beginners. So, we learned this out the hard way, playtesting through this. Well, I didn't playtest it, but, you know, the first couple of hours were basically us just playtesting, while the owner was fixing problems. So. Very rough here. So a good point to stop now is I have 3 skill points. So the way you use this is you go back to Nexus, and that instance that we are in ends. So here, somebody dropped items that I can show you. So this is for a warrior, and you can see is that it's got pretty good stats for what normally things would be. Normally this would be incredibly OP for giving 40 defense. It's actually pretty decent though. And as you can see, the modifier at the bottom says it adds an additional 10 defense. Defense is very nerfed in this. As the owner stated, is if you were to take a bullet that does 100 damage, you would need 150 defense to deal half that damage to you. So defense is only a % damage reduction. It is not just flat as it is in normal Realm of the Mad God. So this is the vault. I have some items. I just didn't want to show it. This is the part where if you know where Path of Exile is, you'll understand this. This is a skill tree. And there's a lot of it. And we're still trying to figure out which is the best. Generally speaking, though, if you're playing early on, just go for attack and health. It's usually a good way of putting it out. Wizards can increase their wisdom and maximum MP. And you can just sort of go for a base of a spell increasing. But here you can just pick up some skill nodes equivalent to your skill points. So here I'll be getting a total of 30 extra HP and then a total of 12% increased defense. Now, I currently don't have any defense, so it doesn't help. But I will now have 133 health instead of 103. And then in order to go back into your instance, you purchase another one of these, and it sends you back into a new dungeon. So, that is the general gameplay loop. Now, it will take you a while to get your first... Never mind. usually takes you quite a while to get your first item. I think for me... Okay, now the game's just trying to really disprove me. Normally it takes a while to get stuff. But I just picked up 2 things right off the bat. So, as you can see here, as I was talking about the modifiers, this is the Archer's equipment. Gives a 27% defense boost and 13% speed. And it has a modifier of 18 shield, which is basically the equivalent of energy shield from Path of Exile. It is essentially a boost of health on top of your normal health that after a couple of seconds of you not being damaged, it will recharge. This is just the first tier of spell. Just does more damage, costs more MP, gives you bonus percentage of attack. Now, this says +1 to the number of projectiles. All that means is that the circle of projectiles that come out from there, it will have 1 additional pop out. Doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, if you have more than 1 modifier on an item, which can happen, but you're probably pretty lucky if it happens, then having that extra projectile could mean quite a bit. But it does not specify that you need to have that for an item to be good. Some modifiers are just good enough. Something else to note is these snakes. Their main quality is their shots accelerate after being fired. So, after they fire, these shots will become like actual bullets and will speed across the entire screen. So, just be careful when dealing with them. So that is the main gameplay loop. I just wanted to have this serve as a general introduction to the game. And now I will just play the game for, you know, another 15 minutes or so, just to sort of show you what it is. There are procedurally generated rooms that are different almost every single time. There are rooms that are very similar to one another, but on average they are different. The monsters they contain will be different between runs. So here we have more the upgraded snakes, which will fire their projectiles, and they have considerably more health. Want to be extra careful with these ones. So again, I've leveled up. I'm not going to level up quite yet, or I'm not going to go back for a level up quite yet. I'm going to rather wait a second. But I'm actually going to be forced to Nexus here. So, I have another 1 point. I'll go in. Go in here. And since I still do not have any defense, there's no point in me putting a stat point into gaining extra defense. But it does matter to get into vitality. So I will still put this point here for the extra defense, even though it doesn't actually give me any defense right now. You will see this % vital power regeneration rate coming up. Vital power is how strong the vitality is. It's a multiplier. these nodes, maximum ammunition, charge speed, reload speed, do not actually work. They're for a class that has yet to be introduced. May happen in the future. So, just get that out of the way. I will trade this hide free. Go with a robe for my vault. So, you'll see that this is a fairly well done robe. Extra maximum shield, which is the energy shield that I was talking about. 20 defense, and this will be flat, plus 4 wisdom. And the modifiers, as you see, are 2 modifiers. One is plus 6 magic power, which will be a plus 6 magic damage here. Make this do more damage. And vitality will just be normal vitality. Now, something you'll note, if you watch my player character, he will change colors based on whatever armor you have equipped. So, now I have 35 shield, and because of the points, I will have more defense. I'm just considerably tankier to kill now. Oh, we got an item. So that's generally the sort of loop here, is you want to be able to trade items with other people, trying to get your first couple of tiers of items. And then from there, you just move on and hopefully explore and get new and better tiers. But new and better tiers is usually just better modifiers for items you've come across. There is another tier. Oh, okay. There is a tier 2. Oh, that's increased damage. Talk about a good find. You can just find other tiers. They only are dropped from bosses at lower floors. And in each sort of instance, you'll find a downstairs. Oh, wow. So many items. This one is more defense, so we'll put it on. So, trying to think about other things I need to mention. The bosses I have yet to kill, but they apparently drop the tier 2 items. And on average, the tier 2 items are, generally speaking, the quote-unquote, like, tops of the server. That is sort of the top end for this moment in time. There is, in fact, a tier 3 option, but that only comes in the form of an item drop from an enraged bunny boss, which is a very slim chance of you getting one. I think I've only gotten 2 ever. Here, once again, the enemies that will shoot through obstacles. So I'll force you leave. It's too much of a threat. These are both very solid armor pieces, so I will put them in here. So you just drop them in the Nexus for people to have access to. There is currently a way of gaining extra vault space and character space. There's a rare drop that will give you a vault or character unlocker. This has only started being the case in the last hour or so. So it's... Wow. Okay, that is... I have to... What's about this? Hold on. Normally I don't do something like this, but that is very interesting. But enough about that. Moving downstairs doesn't immediately do anything. The enemies get marginally more difficult, but nothing really changes. These are the rabbits that normally are just XP. They don't actually do any damage to you. So early on, if you can find rooms that contain these, it's a very good source of gaining early XP. And then we go right back into the hard enemies. I do not believe the enemies get that much more difficult when you go up to the next room. If they get even more difficult at all, I'm not entirely certain. But they definitely exist. After you get through the third downstairs option, you will get to a boss, and those will drop tier 2 items. I have a chance to. If you are lucky enough to receive that by killing the boss, good job. You're better than me. The bosses are very difficult from what I've gathered, and from the one boss I've fought. Completely owned my character, who had very solid items and was level 15. So I had 15 skill or 14 skill points available to me, and I still lost. So just be wary about that. This can be rough, and you will die a lot. But death means learning. So, just wanted to make a brief little video. We'll go into further things later on, perhaps make another video. Or honestly, I'm already at the third downstairs. I may find the boss and be able to show it to you. The bosses are not easy, so I will very likely just lose and die to it. But then I can show you all what goes on for such a thing. So, as far as I'm aware, the enemies do not really get more difficult for each floor you've completed. It's just sort of a mark as to how far down you've gone. That's a dead end. So we'll move on. And a level up. Oh, I guess it's not the end. There is further stuff here. It's one of the more well-known Ent God runes. These are very rough. They hit very hard. And as you can probably see, I have a lot of health. This is one of the sort of more well-known bunny rooms. Contains a large amount of these rabbits. It's usually just a lot of free guaranteed XP. Yep, here we go. So, here's going to be what the bosses look like. Oh, it's this thing again. This is what killed me the first time. So, it will shoot these sprays of shots out. And generally is not a very fun time. The only thing saving me right there was my energy shield. And there we go. Died once again. Just because I didn't have the stats, but there you go. Hopefully that's a good indication of how the game plays out. Hopefully it doesn't scare you too much from its difficulty, and hopefully I'll see you on at some point.